Ever feel like you're constantly playing catch up with your content? Let's uncover the real reason why this is happening. And I assure you, it goes much deeper than simply lacking consistency. By the end of this video, you will learn the 3 major pitfalls of managing content creation for your own small business and how to avoid them. It is so important to dodge these pitfalls as best as possible if you want to succeed in the online space. The number one pitfall I see with small business creators trying to manage content is that they lack a clear and sustainable strategy. Now, I'm sure that sounds like a given. Well, duh, Liz, you have to have a strategy in order to have content created. Well, not everybody thinks of content this way, and you'd be surprised how many small business owners miss the mark of really investing their time in coming up with a really good content strategy that actually serves their business in some way. So number 1 is clarity on this strategy. What mechanism and what needle is content moving in your business? Is there a goal of growing your email list? Is there a goal of a whole new income stream? Is there a goal of simply promoting your offers and potentially just growing the awareness around your offers? All of these things are valid goals, but unless you have a content strategy that is built around this clarity, you will start to lack the motivation because you will not see the results you're looking for. Another big part of this clarity is actually looking at the right metrics, because when you look at vanity metrics like views and likes and comments, you are not going to see the results you are probably looking for if you are using content as a mechanism to run your business. If you are using content as just a creator and your job is kind of just to create content for the sake of the content, this would be things like you get brand sponsorships and your content actually matters in the way that you make money versus what you're actually leading people to as a small business through your content. There are differences between those two things, being a creator and being a business that is utilizing content to grow their business versus just creating content for the sake of the content, right? So if you are a creator and you are creating content on behalf of a business sponsorship or a brand sponsorship, and you are actually relying on views, this doesn't apply to you. But if you are using content as a mechanism to grow your business in some way or reach business goals, you cannot pay attention to views, likes, and comments. You have to pay more attention to retention, click-through. How long are people staying on your videos? Are they dropping off after 30 seconds? Or is there action being taken when you offer a call to action? These are things you should be able to track. For instance, if your call to action is subscribe to my email list, you should be seeing email subscribers if your content is engaging enough for them to stay for the call to action. These metrics are actually going to tell you if people are resonating with your content more than views and likes and shares and comments. Obviously, these things are good at a baseline level because we can tell that if you're getting a lot of reach on something, it means it's relatable or a lot of people are relating to the content. If it's getting a lot of comments, it means that you're resonating with people on an even deeper level to the point where they want to say something to you. If you're getting saves, if you're getting shares, even better. Those are 2 metrics that are actually really good to track because it indicates value and it indicates shareability and it indicates if something is shareable. But at the same time, shares and saves are only going to do so much for your business. We want people staying as long as possible engaged with your content. It is the very reason why I love long-form content more than I like short-form content by a long shot. So this pitfall of lacking a clear and sustainable content strategy is major. Now, the sustainable piece of this really comes in with systems. You can check out my video called Plan a Week of Content in 30 Minutes if you're interested in some of those systems that will make your content strategy sustainable. So let's move on to the second pitfall, which is something I've already touched on. You're approaching your content like a content creator, not a business owner. Now, this is somewhat harder for people to understand, but there is a difference between a content creator and a business that is creating content intentionally for their business. Now, that's very broad, but when I say for their business, it's really pertaining to a goal that they have for their business. So yes, I, as Liz, am a content creator. But at the end of the day, I am creating content on behalf of my business, Essence Presents Production, and therefore my content has intention behind it. I am not just Liz creating content on whatever Liz wants to create content about. I'm creating content to actually help my clients and help all of those who are struggling as small business owners to create content that has lasting and sustainable effects. So if your goal is to get ROI from your content, right? Return on investment, we need to have an offer of some sort online that people can access from your content. You basically need to drive people strategically to somewhere off of this content app. To use this as an example, my YouTube videos, my YouTube channel, leads people to my free resources. My free resources are on my website, and once you download a free resource, you're now on my email list. This is how I've set it all up in the back end so that I am reaching my goal of not only growing my email list, but getting people in and giving them value to build trust. So once you are driving people strategically to your content, you're weaving in your authority, you're weaving in your method, then we have to pay attention to those metrics that I mentioned in the last pitfall, which are click-through, retention, the metrics that are showing how long people are engaged with your content. And of course, if they're even engaging whatsoever, meaning if they see it, a preview of it, are they clicking into it? Are they engaging with it enough from how it looks on the outside to then engage with it further? So comment ROI if you have not yet created an offer for your business, but you want to. So the third and last pitfall is something that you might not expect. You need to get content creation out of your way. And how do you do this? With a plug and play system. Now, I know I mentioned systems in the first pitfall, but this is more about your creation systems, not your strategy, not your funnel. This is more about the systems that come into play when it comes to creation. This is all about graphic design templates, copywriting ChatGPT prompts, all supporting the work that you do often. And you need to be able to understand that there are patterns that exist in your content always. And those patterns can be predictable, and therefore you are able to create templates and systems that at least make it quicker than starting from scratch. This is also all about automation, right? If we can automate any aspect of our process, this will get content creation time out of the way. If we know that we have a scheduler that schedules out our content, our short form content, that is a game changer because you no longer have to take time out every single time you post one thing and kind of agonize over the process once again, right? You could be making your caption ahead of time, you could be making the video ahead of time, but publishing it is another step. And if you can take that off of your plate, that's even better. You are eliminating the distractions that it would take for you to do the next step. Always. That is what automation is all about. So what this really comes down to is systems that align with your workflow. And so this should really feel natural. If automations don't approachable, I want you to know that it is much more simple than it seems, and your workflow is going to feel so much more authentic and ingrained in who you want to be when things are off of your plate that you didn't even realize were distracting or taking away from your time, from your day, honestly. I have some clients and I know some people who have spent 3 hours on a social media post. 3 hours. And that is just, there's just no time for that. You know, as a small business owner, you might think that that's going to drive something to your business, but I can tell you for certain, You should never be spending 3 hours on one piece of content, especially short form content. Now, if you've been on this channel before, you know that I have resources for you. I have a content marketing master spreadsheet as well as a social media content calendar bundle. The bundle has 3 different forms of Google files, right? It's going to be a Google Doc, a Google Sheet, and a Google Slide that has 3 different ways for you to organize your short form or long form pieces of content. This is just a back end template so that you can organize your content yourself as a DIY kind of thing. The Content Marketing Master spreadsheet is a bit different as it includes a task planner. It has a lot to do more with strategy and other templates that have helped me in my 5 years of marketing. So if you're interested in either of those resources, they'll be linked below. Now, if you're at the stage where you want to learn how to create content optimally, you're not necessarily ready for all the tools and the automations, but you simply just want to get your schedule down, I have an awesome video all about how I plan a week's worth of content in 30 minutes. And I think that that is going to help you out a lot, especially learning now about the major pitfalls. So check that video out next, and I'll see you there.